Andrew, thank you very much.
The singer Amy Winehouse has admitted assaulting a theatre manager during the pantomime in Milton Keynes. It happened halfway through a performance of Cinderella. She admitted she'd been drinking.
It was the latest Amy Winehouse show, but this time here at Milton Keynes Magistrates Court. There was paparazzi and even the soul diva herself. But despite her guilty pleas for assault and public order offences, today her fans were still standing by her.
There's a lot of people out there that, you know, care for her and want her to pull through this and become a better person, because she's a role model for a lot of people, so she needs to keep that in her mind.
Just before Christmas, the singer had come to see Cinderella here at the theatre to support a friend appearing in pantomime. She'd been drinking that night and was in a positive mood, but she became disruptive during the show and had to be moved. Later, en route to the toilet, she asked bar staff for a double vodka and coke. Front of house manager Richard Pound suggested she have water instead. Miss Winehouse swore at him, but later when she tried to apologise, Mr Pound said she should leave, whereby she swore again and then grabbed his hair.
Milton Keynes has a very safe nighttime economy, and in fact we have reduced the number of serious assaults in the area and minor assaults like this one over the last year. We will not tolerate any incidents of this kind and work very hard with our partners to reduce such violent related incidents. If you commit an offence of this nature, you will face the consequences.
In court, the singer's defence lawyer said she felt hurt and embarrassed by the way Mr Pound had spoken to her, and that's why she reacted.
District Judge Peter Crabtree told the singer it was a reaction, it was an overreaction, but he acknowledged that her outburst had not taken place in front of children. Passing a sentence of a 2-year conditional discharge, he said to her, in some ways this is much harder than a fine, because for the next 2 years you will have to stay on the straight and narrow.
Miss Winehouse was also ordered to pay £85 in costs and £100 compensation. This case, just another distraction to overshadow her music. Jo Black, BBC Look East.
Later in the programme, getting fit and raising money.
A police officer from Essex has appeared in court charged with assaulting a man during an arrest. The man died 3 days later. The police then stopped his funeral following allegations that police officers had used excessive force.
Police Constable David Hurst, here on the left, tried to keep a low profile when he appeared in court, charged with assaulting Stuart Smith during an arrest. His fiancée Nicola Lawson, wearing the white scarf, arrived for the hearing with her sister carrying his photo. Stuart Smith was arrested by police on the 14th of September and charged with sending an offensive message. 3 days later, he was dead. It was said to be a drugs overdose. He was eventually laid to rest 71 days after his death. The police paid for his first funeral after they stopped it, as part of an investigation into whether officers used excessive force during his arrest. During the 5-minute hearing, David Hurst stood in the dock of Court 4 wearing plain clothes, a heavy winter coat and a green scarf. He spoke to confirm his name, address and date of birth. When asked if he pleaded guilty or not guilty to assault, he replied, not guilty. David Hurst left court through a side entrance. As he was driven away, he hid behind a blanket on the back seat. He'll appear in court again in February. Debbie Tubby, BBC Look East, Southend Magistrates Court.
Plans to extend the runway at Southend Airport were given the go-ahead at a council meeting at Southend Civic Centre this evening. Its owners hope an extra 300 metres will bring in up to 2 million passengers a year. The decision now awaits approval at government level.
More planes landing at Southend Airport will bring huge economic benefits. That's the view of the airport's owners. But for larger aircraft, they'll need a longer runway.
So there's over 1,000 people work on the airport today. We see that more than doubling if the airport development goes ahead. But more than that, people who live within 20 minutes of the airport today make over 1 million journeys to Europe by air every year. So it's about giving people locally the ability to use their local airport to fly away on holiday.
The extension would cover 23 hectares and involve diverting a main road and moving a church wall. Protesters concerned about its environmental impact gathered outside Southend Civic Centre.
There's going to be a lot more noise with far more planes flying over, pollution, and also traffic congestion on the A127, the one main road into the town.
The protesters were joined by airport management and lots of Southend residents. At the meeting, councillors approved the decision by 14-3, but the final say-so now rests with the Secretary of State for Communities and Local Government.
He could choose not to intervene,
or he could call for a public inquiry into the expansion, and that could take some time. And more time would please the protesters, but not Southend Airport. It wants its new runway off the ground before the London Olympics in 2012. And Janet Gadgill, BBC Look East, Southend.
Tributes have been paid to a newly married teacher from Norfolk who died in a boating accident in Egypt. Luke Day drowned after his boat capsized on the River Nile during a storm. His wife Sophie, who was also on the boat, survived.
A brilliant teacher and person, an inspiration to all of us. You'll be dearly missed. Just some of the tributes paid to Luke Day by his pupils at Costessy High School in Norwich. The 31-year-old French teacher died on Monday during a sailing incident on the River Nile in Aswan in Egypt. He was travelling with his wife Sophie, who survived the accident.
He was just one of a kind teacher. I don't think there's many teachers out there that would open the lesson with a song on a guitar.
He was a really lively man. Always wanted to help everybody.
He was just a lovely man to be around, and it's really sad that he's gone.
Well, he was a wonderful young teacher, running a French exchange, helping the primary schools, and he'd have made a big difference to a lot of young people's lives, and so I'm very, very, very sad that that's now not going to happen.
The school hoped to name part of the language block after Luke and have a memorial tree in the grounds, keeping the memory alive of this popular and outgoing teacher. Dawn Gerber, BBC Look East, Norwich.
A burglar who escaped from Hoseley Bay prison in Suffolk and then taunted the police on Facebook has been jailed for an extra 6 months. Craig Lynch went on the run in September near the end of a 7-year sentence. He then set up a Facebook page and mocked officers for not arresting him. He was eventually arrested in Kent last week. More than 40,000 people signed up to fan pages dedicated to Lynch.
Now you can surf the internet on a mobile phone, you can send emails, play music and even do your shopping. And from today, you can also buy your bus ticket in Ipswich.
Queuing, part of the ritual of using the bus. Without the right change, it can be a bit of a grind. Enter mobile bus tickets.
So, how does it work? Well, you download an application form on your phone. You then enter your payment details and you buy a daily, weekly or monthly ticket. On the day of travel, you then activate your ticket, you show it to the driver on the screen of your phone, and off you go.
It's a pilot scheme and runs for a month in Ipswich's Zone 1 travel area on services run by First Buses and Ipswich Buses.
At least if you do it like that, you haven't getting cash, are you? So fiddle around for cash, so I suppose give it a go. You don't know till you give it a go, do you?
We're keen to bring in some innovations to encourage people to use sustainable transport. And paying by mobile phone will allow people to board buses quicker so they can get away more punctually, and that will add to the journey experience.
There are, though, some catches. At present, only adults can use the service. It doesn't work on older phones, and some people will, quite frankly, find it much easier to continue paying cash. But if it takes off, mobile ticketing could be extended elsewhere. Richard Daniel, BBC Look East, Ipswich.
A charity in Norfolk, partially funded by children in need, had a visit from Princess Anne today. The Princess is National President of Riding for the Disabled, and today she was at the Magpie Centre near Downham Market for a special birthday.
Not many of us are served birthday cake by a princess, but Heidi, 26 years old today, very nearly upstaged Her Royal Highness by refusing to eat it. Even when offered a much larger portion. Heidi is the longest-serving pony here and is still much loved.
She's been through many children. I have pictures and letters at home which children have drawn and sent for Heidi. So yeah, she's served lots of children.
During the visit, the Princess met volunteers and riders from the West Norfolk Riding for the Disabled Association.
She said about how long I've been riding for, and if I do dressage.
The Princess was treated to a short equine musical programme, a very special moment for all those involved.
It's fantastic. It's really good for the centre, obviously for publicity, but it's fantastic for the children. It just means such a lot that somebody so special, our president, would actually come to our centre.
And the motto of the day? You can take a horse to cake, but you can't make them eat it. Carol Bundock, BBC Look East, West Norfolk.